Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Hello, hello. Guess who? It's me. It's really me. Just in case you were confused in any way whatsoever, it really is indeed me. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Operation Status Quo here today. My goodness, just in case, I'm going to say this right off the bat, if you're here with me live, just in case the whole thing shuts down, or I have no idea, some thunderstorms whipping through out there. And matter of fact, where's my, I got to look over here. Where is my thunder? I have a thunder sound effect somewhere around here. Let's see if is it worth it for me to go through all this trouble just for you guys to hear a crack of thunder here? But I'm going to try. I don't see it. I can't do it. I know it's around here somewhere. I forget. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what the hell am I doing? And who cares, really, right? That's the way it goes. Anyway, this is Operation Status Quo. I am Pete Palma. Hello and welcome. Like I said, there's some thunderstorms kicking out there, so if I jump out of my chair, don't be surprised. But anyway, yes, I am Pete Palma. Welcome to Operation Status Quo. This, of course, is the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then, of course, we create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. And I'm happy to be with you here today on the 17th of August in the good year 2023. I am broadcasting live from the comfy confines of my very own home here in beautiful Florida. Although I'll be honest with you, though, I was going to say, because it's raining now and usually it's always sunny, but I got to be honest. I for the first time this past week or so, I started to actually get agitated that it was just so sunny all the time, sunny, no rain, and sunny and no rain. And I'm like, where's the darn rain? I can't take it anymore. It's too much sunshine. It's too much joy. Heyo. Honestly, though, it's been quite warm here in Florida this summer and in this area in particular. So anyway, it is what it is, and that's the way it has to be. So I am happy to see some rain out there and some storms kicking through. It's a little kind of cozy feeling for a change, so it's nice. Anyway, today's program is entitled, ladies and gentlemen, The Great Awakening. Yes, here on Operation Status Quo, of course, like I say, we kind of observe what's going on in the world, and we just talk about it. We try not to get worked up over things that are happening because, everything seems crazy out there, and I think we're all in a kind of a state of flux in a sense, right? I mean, tell me, because I ask you, you're the audience. I would love your feedback, to tell me how you're thinking and feeling out there, just with the way the world has been going, in general. I mean, I don't know. This is how I feel. So let me ask you if you feel this way. I feel like a certain level of just uneasiness, not depression, or not overly anxious, not fear, not anger, just an unsettled, I guess, is almost the word I want to use too, because I just feel that there's, so much going on and things are changing in so many ways. I have so many ideas myself of how I want things, not to how I want things, but how I foresee things in the future in a way, and the way I'd like to shape my life moving forward. And, I kind of feel like it's hard to get a solid, ground footing, a solid footing of where to begin, your baseline, because you just don't really know how things are going to play out. The economy is a perfect example. Whatever they show on TV and whatever the stock market seems to do or whatever, we know basically that it's all, a show and a lie, our fiat money system. And, there's a lot of talk out there about, what's going on with other nations and how they're moving away from the dollar. And well, not to get into a whole thing about the finances, but just in general, that's one of those things of, how do you move forward, with your investing, or, what you're going to spend your money on, in comparison to, you would do it differently if you had a baseline of a structure of knowing how things were going to move forward, even maybe a career or whatever you're looking to do, buy a house. I mean, anything, right? It's hard to make plans or, decisions of exactly where you want to settle, where you want to be, how you want to proceed because of these crazy times. So I do think it's important, as a caveat to getting into this, the Great Awakening conversation. But I do say, as a caveat, I think it's important for us to remember that, there is that level of uncertainty, right, of how things are going to play out. So I think, we have to just keep that, in our mind and not put too much pressure on ourselves of where to be next and what to do next and all. Like I kind of was talking about this. I don't know if it was yesterday or whatever. Or just I think it wasn't it? Just kind of saying you don't have to, try to control everything or make everything be whatever we think it should be, because we don't know how things are going to be. So ultimately, that's why it comes down to, your spiritual connections, your grounding of yourself, living through your heart and such, because ultimately everything in this 3D paradigm is not real. It's the Earth school. So, it's playing out the way it's playing out. I'll be honest with you, as a humanoid in a human form at this time, sometimes it does get to be pretty annoying, I have to say. It just, I don't want to even say annoying. It just gets to be heavy sometimes, because, I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky, want to enjoy life person, and I do. But at the same time, like, I would be doing, like, how I'm thinking and feeling, I'm ready for more, and I'm just kind of waiting to see, like, just like, and I don't like that. I don't like that in a way, because I almost feel like I shouldn't wait, right? Like, we should all make the moments of what we want the moments to be in each and every moment, and we can be as happy or not as happy as we want. It's our choice and all that stuff. And although that's true, we're also a collective, and we're also all one energy. So there's a lot of interplay and there's a lot of levels that go into all of this. So, it's hard. It's hard to, get your grounding and continue to, vibrate at a level when there's a lot of other vibrations around you that are not at that level, that are kind of like interfering with the level you're trying to vibrate with, So anyway, but let's get into this just real quick. Not real quickly, but I don't know why I always want to say real quickly. I want to try to make you guys feel there's no pressure. You have to be here for any kind of extended period of time. But just to talk about spiritual awakening in general, I know the term the Great Awakening, that's been utilized many times over history as far as different revivals and whatnot have gone on, where people have kind of elevated, and whether it be religious beliefs or, just philosophical or just societal things like that have happened. And, in the past, and I feel definitely that this is a time of another Great Awakening for sure, as humanity is moving into whatever its new form is going to be, as we watch it transform little by little. But there are some things here, some information I wanted to share as far as what are some attributes of spiritual awakening and what it means and such. So allow me to share, if I could, with you, the beautiful people out there. And don't forget, your participation is welcomed at all times. So feel free to leave any comments on anything I'm saying, whether it's now or later, whatever you like to do. I'm happy to engage with you. But spiritual awakening basically is the experience of one or more profound shifts in consciousness that brings about a greater understanding of the mystery of life, the interconnectedness of all things. These mystical experiences can vary greatly, but typically involve a deep sense of peace and joy, a deeper connection to one's true self, and an understanding of one's place in the greater universe. It is a shift in consciousness in which a person moves from identifying with the physical body and mind to recognizing a deeper connection with the divine and the oneness of the universe. So, obviously, spiritual awakenings can vary greatly depending on the individual, and can range from a subtle shift in awareness to a complete transformation of a person. And I'll use that example in my life. I've always had I've always had a certain knowing, I'll say that. And I've had shifts, and then I've also had transformations. I think I spoke yesterday about my divorce, and that was one of the times where I had like this really, transformation. Like I changed so much from that experience, like in an instant, really. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but, I was down in the dumps a bit, and I went and spoke with someone, and that conversation led to like an epiphany moment where like I felt like, I literally felt like for the lack of a better term, I always say voom, 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 voom. And for anyone who's ever tripped on LSD, you understand what I mean by voom, 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 And I felt this like voom, voom, like just go right through my body, like in a second. And then like I was different. It's like the craziest thing. But that's like one of the best examples I can give, like from my life, because of how real it is. Like, how unreal we think our lives are, like, and how much everything is just one moment and energies. If whenever you line up to something, it can be that quickly. You can shift into another paradigm of thought. It's really an amazing. It's liberating. It's liberating and amazing. And that's one of the things I'm talking about here today. And one of the reasons I'm talking about it is because even myself, like I'm always looking to move higher. And just lately though, I have to say, just feel a little stuck in the muck. A little bit just because of the way the world has been going. But hey, it is what it is. I'm here to be positive. I'm still positive no matter what, because ultimately, that's the only way to be, and that's the only way good things are going to come. You can't wallow. We all have our days that, we go back and forth a little bit, some a little better, some a little worse. But at the end of it all, everything's a good day and everything's a learning experience. So, we have to keep it that way. So here's some signs of, they say signs and symptoms. I don't know if it's called a symptom, but I guess it could be. But some signs and symptoms of spiritual awakening. The first is a shift in consciousness, like I was just saying. A small or large shift in consciousness is a common experience and is marked by a deepened sense of peace and understanding about spiritual paths, spiritual experience, religious experience, and mystical experiences. So, basically it's an internal journey, where you kind of recognize your ego and such, and how that plays into the difference between your spiritual self and your ego self. So, definitely the shift in consciousness, and, think about these things for yourself as I say them, like, and what they mean to you, and how they may resonate in your life, and things that you've experienced and how you can relate to it. The acknowledgement of the spiritual realm is another one. There's a lot of people out there that I hear that speak, and they speak on a lot of things that I'm interested in, but they always say, they're agnostic, and I'm not really sure why. Like, I understand the want to disassociate from organized religion, but like the whole idea of like agnostic, to me is just like, I don't know. It's shutting down the obvious in a sense of, I don't know. It's like an easy way to not allow yourself to grow spiritually in a way, right? To say like, prove it to me first, or, I don't believe in it, or, just, I don't know. That's just how I kind of look at that. But why was I saying that? Yeah, because the recognition of the spiritual realm. When you realize that everything is higher frequencies and vibrations, and it's all one energy, and and actually things are happening in perfect conjunction beyond our physical awareness. When you realize that, it's quite, again, everything about spiritual awakening is liberating and freeing. When you think about where our human life is like, the day to day, and, the angst we feel sometimes, trying to get things done, to fit in, to, just live, right? It seems pretty daunting and doesn't seem like what's the purpose in a way. But when you really connect with the fact that it's bigger than that, and you're just part of the story in a sense, you're just one facet of the whole. Again, it's liberating, it's freeing, and it brings a lot of positivity and joy into your heart. Questioning your beliefs is another one. You might have been holding on to certain belief systems for a long time in your life that have kept you in a space that doesn't allow you to grow, right? If you go back to people who grew up in the 20s or the 30s or the 40s, they had a whole different kind of mindset and way, a different box of thinking than we do now. So at least our society is much more open in certain ways. If you think about it overall, things that wouldn't have been accepted at all back in times like the 20s and 30s, are pretty much, run of the mill now, right? So questioning your beliefs is a great thing. I think we should all do that. Even as we grow, we still should continue to question our beliefs and, see where they're coming from, and, how they support us to continue forward. A heightened sense of awareness is another one. You just start to and I would liken that to intuition as well, as just like you just kind of feel things a little bit more, and you're just aware of, an interesting, how I am if you watch this regularly, how I talk about the mainstream media and stuff, but like, it's like you can't unknow what you know once you know something type thing. And that's why when I watch like the news now, or I watch that type of programming, like I just see through all the cracks of like everything they're saying, like, and how it's so put together, purposely to keep people in one type of space of thought. It's not real journalism in any capacity, right? There's so many stories going on in the world that they don't even talk about. They really just kind of, there's the same few that they just keep like hammering on. Oh, like Trump, for example. Right? I mean, like, have they talked about him in the last? Have they talked about him in the last 20 minutes? You know, it's like it's always to keep you, you know, in a space of not heightening your awareness, right? That's the purpose of the mainstream media, really. Connected to a greater purpose or power. You know, sometimes, and that's one of the things, you know, I think about. You know, and sometimes certain friends of mine, you know, bust my chops, you know, because I don't know. I do feel like it's important to have purpose. Like some people say, you know, especially on the spiritual side, like, you know, if you're really in tune, you know, you're just, you know, meditate, your oneness, you know, the purpose is just to resonate at this vibration that keeps things at a positive level. But I don't know, maybe it's just my dynamic as a personality and such too. You know, I just, you know, I feel like there's a purpose, you know. That's one of the reasons I come here and speak. You know, it is what it is, whatever I do. But at the same time, like, you know, I don't know. I just feel I feel energized to connect with people and to try to encourage people to be positive, right? So, you know, when you feel that connection to a greater purpose or power, that's definitely part of a spiritual awakening. Increased intuition and inner knowledge. I spoke about that when I on the other one. I kind of likened it to intuition, same thing. And inner knowledge, just like a sense of knowing. I mean, that's a beautiful thing to have, just a sense of knowing overall, right? Like, you know, even when times are tough or bad things go on, I say this all the time too, like, you know, thinking of like something like, even like, you know, my grandmother passed away over a year ago, you know, and we were really, you know, close, and I love her very much, and, you know, I know she's with me and all that type of stuff. But you know, I have that inner knowledge that, you know, that it's bigger than that. Like, you know, she's there, right? What, you know, we sometimes I know, like, sometimes people pass away in our lives, or even a pet or anything, right? And you could be like lost for the rest of your life. I had a friend of mine who a coworker of ours passed away, and she was a younger girl, like in her early 20s, and she had like the stage 4 colon cancer, like out of the blue type thing. I don't know, right? And she died within a couple months, and one of my coworkers sat next to her, and they got along really well. And, you know, it really messed him up. Like, you know, he really started questioning, like, you know, even questioned his own faith, and he seemed to get more distant, you know, when in truth is, like, you know, if that intuition and that inner knowledge would lead you to know in a way that, you know, it's bigger than that. Like, you know, you would think of it from a perspective of that, you know, everything has a purpose for the way it happens, as opposed to, you know, trying to judge the situation and letting it, you know, bring you down. Like, to me, somebody, like, when a situation like that happens, like, you know, it's a soul contract. There's a reason why that dynamic is occurring, for whatever other souls are interacting with that person in her life that needed that experience for them to do what they had to do. So, I mean, I know it's like kind of tough sometimes, but at the same time, another person I worked with, you know, at that same job, you know, this woman, you know, her sister had died. I know they planned on retiring together and, you know, doing things, and this woman, she wasn't like a horrible woman. She was the big boss, so she wasn't the friendliest person in the world. But after the sister died, forget about it. She became like a total, like, just like, I don't think she wanted to be nice to anybody, because I think she felt slighted, you know. And these are the kind of things I'm talking about. Like, if you have this more spiritual, higher way of, you know, and it's not about being better than anybody. I don't mean anything like that. I just mean, like, it's up to all of us to, you know, connect with that for our own peace of mind, and to be kind to our, you know, fellow human beings. But, you know, nothing has to get you so down. And I've already made, like, peace with myself for the people that are close with me in my life, you know, my family. One day I'm going to lose people, and, you know, I'm already, to me, in my mind, they're already gone. Not that I don't talk to them, and I just mean, like, I understand they're going to be gone. I might be gone before them. Who the hell knows? But you know, they're going to be gone ultimately one day. And it's like, I'm already kind of emotionally prepared for that, because I just know that that's just part of what happens. And ultimately, even though we lose people, you know, in our everyday, you know, physical life, no one is ultimately lost, because we're all one anyway. And the truth is, it's like in Star Wars, when Obi-Wan got struck down by Vader, and he says, "If you strike me down now, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine." You know, and then he was able to kind of appear to Luke, you know, in little visions, and help him out and talk to him woman whisper in his ear. So my grandmom hasn't whispered in my ear yet. So, I'm sure she probably, after all the years, hold on, I got to give applause for her. After all the years of dealing with me, I think she needs a break for maybe by the time I'm 70, she might tap in and say, how you doing? Heyo. But for now, I think she needs a break. That's for sure. All right. Let's see here. We have to have a little bit of fun, don't we? All right. So how about this one? Heightened sensitivity to the energies of others. You can feel what other people are feeling. You recognize what they feel. It's just about being, I don't even want to use empathetic really is the word I like to use in a sense, just because, you can feel what people feel in a way, right? We all feel, everybody's putting out vibes. So the more connected you are, you'll be able to connect more to what other people are putting out, good or bad. That's why we have to set our boundaries sometimes. But it's good to have sensitivity of the energies of others, because the energies of others are affecting us as well. So you have to be mindful not only of your energy, but the energy of those around you as well. Change in breathing patterns. That's a nice one. A subtle yet profound symptom of spiritual progress is noticing our habitual breathing pattern shifting towards a constant, slow, deep breath. So yeah. So I guess too, well, I guess that makes sense if you're more on the spiritual side of things and you're kind of calmer, then you probably would have, you wouldn't be worked up. So you wouldn't be all day long, right? You kind of be like, ooh, everything's okay. In through the nose and out through the nose. That's how the breathing goes. All right. Mindfulness in everyday actions. I talk about that all the time, right? Just being mindful and aware, being present, being responsible for your thoughts, your feelings, what you put out there, and all that type of beautiful stuff, right? How about being in the flow? That's another one I talk about too. It's like, and even though I kind of started today saying about, feeling in the muck a little bit, which I do, but that doesn't mean that, this as being in the flow, and it doesn't mean just because I feel like I'm stuck in the muck a little bit, doesn't mean I'm still not in the flow. Being in the muck at this present time, is just part of the flow of, this time. It's really kind of interesting. So, when you're more into that way of thinking, like, life just kind of flows instead of you trying to, force anything to happen. I think that's the most important takeaway of all of it is like, it's not forcing things, not trying to make things, not trying to, we are the creators, as I say, but when we try to force, instead of using power, there's a book called Power versus Force, which talks about a lot of this type of stuff. It's really beautiful. But when we try to force things, into being, it doesn't flow with the power of what the universe is giving, and the truth is we all have our own paths that are destined prior to our, being here. So it really behooves us, each and every one of us, to try to be in touch with our center as much as possible so that we can allow our natural path to come forth instead of trying to create what we think we should based on what society says. And if we do it that way, then we'll be in the flow instead of trying to create and causing ourselves some heartache, right? Experience of deep states of meditation. Obviously, if you're into that, you will get into the meditation. Detachment from thoughts and material possessions. I agree with this one too. Thoughts, I think, are a little harder sometimes for me personally because, they're always creeping up there and you have to be aware and mindful of what you're thinking and all that. But material possessions, I really never had a problem with that. It's like, to me, it's like the less you have, the better off you are, because the more you have, the more you have to take care of. Nice things are nice. I like nice things, clean clothes, whatever, running water. These things are nice. But, when you start, I have one family member, and I always thought this when I was younger. They're blessed in their financial situation, and they do have a lot. And I used to always think, when I was younger, is that a lot? Isn't that like a lot of work to have like 2 houses and cars and all this stuff? And they weren't like snobby about it or anything. I just saying like if you have money, you buy stuff, right? And like but the more you have, like you get a nicer house, or the house has to be clean, so you got to work on it. There's more insurance on the house, or you get a pool or something. Now the pool has to be clean, so either you're doing it or then something breaks with the pool, right? Now you got to get somebody to fix it, or you got some big lawns. Now you got to install sprinklers. I don't know. It just seems like one thing just leads to the next, and we get all caught up in all those types of. And again, this is not to say don't have things. I think everyone should have what they like. I like things. If I'm sure I'll buy things again one day, but for me, like I tell this all the time. My TV that I have right now, is a 55-inch plasma Panasonic TV that I bought in 2010, and it still works. I don't have a smart TV, so I still got a cable box hooked up to it instead of whatever Fire Sticks or whatever kind of things they use. But anyway, it's just I think less is more, because the more we have to deal with our possessions and material things, the less time we have for space to be in the present moment. That's how I feel about it. So however you feel about it, I'm happy to know. Feel free to drop a comment in the comments. Increased creativity or inspiration. That's beautiful, of course. And, not everyone, and being creative and all that too, is not just about being an artist. There's a lot of ways of being creative, no matter what your job is or what you do. It's not about like, oh, you're going to write a book. Maybe you do write a book or do a YouTube channel or do a painting or whatever, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It could be a creative way of educating your kids, or a creative way of I don't know, doing 100 things, right? So, but it's more about the inspiration, because again, if you're living true to your heart, you're going to have this inspiration that's going to, drive you forward on a path that is, in line with what you're meant to do. So, I just think that's a wonderful thought there. Living more in the moment, and we spoke on that basically. I say that a lot, is again, of just living in the present moment. Compassion and unconditional love for all things. I will say this. It's true, because, and I think part of it is, well, I think I always loved animals. I never had a problem with animals. Always loved animals. But when I did get my feline friend, my little kitty, some years ago, he wandered into my life. Wasn't expecting it. Wasn't planning on it. Never would have done it on my own. But then just for having him now over this period of time, and how much care I put into, and how loving he is, it's really made me a lot more sensitive to all animals in general, even to the fact of eating meat. Like I'm not against eating meat. I do eat meat. I try not to eat so much meat, but at the same time, it is something that I still do. And I do feel guilty about it sometimes, but not so much because of, utilizing the animal as much as the way the animals are utilized, with no reverence or respect in our mainstream production facilities, but, if it was going to be a sacred type thing where you have an event and, the animal was treated humanely in its transition, I'm not, and it's not like just gluttony and just you eat 2 bites and you throw the rest of it away like it's no big deal. It's just a hunk of chicken, right? I mean, when you think about it, like, this is a creature that gave its life for people to eat and just throw the shit in the trash. So much of it, it's like that part really bothers me. And also bugs. I have to say bugs, because I never liked bugs. If there was a bug in my house, I'd kill that bug in a half a second. I was always chasing down bugs. But now I don't. Like, now I catch them. I even had a bee in my house probably some months ago, and I'll never forget. This bee was in the house, and it made, who's right? A bee in the house. This is all hands on deck alert. You could be stung, but I was able to. The bee was up against the screen of my window, and I was able to take like a cup and cover the bee, and then put something else and slide over the top, and trapped the bee in the cup basically, and then took the bee outside and released the bee to be free. Isn't that beautiful? I know it sounds funny, but I just, for me personally, like the way I was with bugs, like if I was a bee in my house, like when I was like 20 or something, I would have been like, oh my God, there's a bee in the house. When you think about how crazy it is. But I go for my walks now. I talk to the squirrels. I talk to the rabbits. I talk to the birds. And I always try to, remove the bugs from the house if they're in the house. Unless my cat gets to the bug first and kills it, then I guess that's nature taking its course. What can I do about that? But it is beautiful to have that compassion and unconditional love. And one more thing with the animals, I don't know what to say. If I was raising chickens myself, even if I wanted to be humane about it, would I be able to go out every day and feed those chickens and see little and then I have to say, oh, I'm sorry, my friend, I got to cut your head off now? I really don't know if I could do it. And maybe that would be the final, maybe if everyone had to do that themselves, that would be like the catalyst to say, maybe it is better off to go plant-based, who knows? I think the animals, I know it's a controversial thing in a way, but I don't know. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing because we're also conditioned to eat meat, and people talk about the Bible. The animals are here, under the for man to use and all that type of stuff. And yeah, but maybe not necessarily to raise and slaughter and slap barbecue sauce on them and then throw half of it away. I don't know. So I went off on a tangent on that one a little bit because I was just thinking about it. But anyway, the pursuit of inner peace, you'll find how much more inner peace means to you as you start to move towards spiritual awakening and feeling these type of ways. I think that's beautiful stuff. And inner peace, that's the only thing I really want. That's the biggest struggle I have with everything, like even trying to get my career straight and different things. Like, I'm happy to work, and I know you have to work, but, I feel very disconjointed inside doing work that I don't care for. And it's like, well, how do I get to some place where I'm doing something that I'm utilizing my skills and it's meaningful and I'm able to, actually engage and feel happy to do the work that I'm doing. Like, I love doing this, but this doesn't pay my bills. But hopefully it brings a smile to your face, which is more important than paying my bills. Like, one day when I'm homeless, I won't have to do this on YouTube. I'll just sit on the corner and, you guys can all gather around and I'll do it live for you like that. Probably won't have the sound effects, but maybe that's a good thing, right? Seeing the interconnectedness of all things, which is true. I mean, everything is interconnected, or really, energy is just energy, whether it be a rock or a cloud or a wall or a person. It really is all made up of the same stuff. And the interplay and the interconnection of everything is really beautiful. And it's another thing that's really freeing if you allow yourself to be that, to go with it. Let's see, I don't know how many more are here. There was dreams become lucid. That's another effect. The ego softens and becomes less controlling. That's the part, like that ego. I don't want to say our ego's evil per se, because, we need our ego as a physical entity because it's what is our survival mechanism in a sense. But we have to understand the part of the ego and how it limits us in certain regards to letting go of the physical and connecting to ourselves. So I wouldn't say, it's not about doing away with the ego, but soften the ego. I like that. The ego softens and becomes less controlling, because the ego is just here for us to help us maintain, general safety and continuity in our physical life. But it's not the truth of what we are, who we are, or where we're going. Okay. Awareness of old negative habits, right? Once you start to awaken and see things in a different way, you'll start to see maybe some of the habits that you had that kept you in a lower way of thinking, and maybe they start to change as well. Changes in relationships, of course, relationships will evolve. You'll start to meet people that are more like-minded. When you think a certain way, you're going to have relationships on a certain level with certain type of people, because, like attracts like. So as you can continue to grow, you'll find other people that are in that space, and it, kind of just continues to push you forward. Let's see how many more. My goodness. I know I think there was 24, so I don't know how many I've done so far, but a sense of dharma or personal mission. I was talking about that earlier. I was saying just about having a purpose, right? Like, and feeling like, whatever your mission is, like whatever the mission could be, it doesn't have to be like some grand mission, but whatever your mission is, maybe it's to be the best parent that you could be, or, maybe it's to, go work at a homeless shelter and feed people. I don't know, whatever it is, but like, purposeful, mission-driven content in your life instead of just Netflix, a desire to live a more meaningful life. I mean, isn't that right? We want to have a meaningful life. We don't want to just be polluted with, surface level nonsense. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help us grow. What's it do for us, right? So interest in living, it says a yogic lifestyle. So, I know people might not totally agree with yoga. So, I would just say interest in living a more meditative, peaceful lifestyle per se, however that works for you. But basically, that's all of it right there. Let me give a round of applause for that little list of some symptoms and signs of spiritual awakening. And we're going through a beautiful time here, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, there's difficulties. Heyo. But I mean, what are you going to do? That's life. There's always going to be difficulties. So, just have to deal with that, but realize that, we're heading towards, beautiful things. And that's part, I mean, the reason I'm reading all this stuff is because, the world is in transition. So much is happening. And, the more we can connect with the ideas and the concepts of trying to express here on the show today, the more peaceful we'll be in our hearts, the more able we will be to flow with the changes that are happening, and the more abundant will be in our day-to-day life and our ability to connect with our community and build our communities, because I think that's part of what's happening too, building local communities, neighbors, back to really being neighbors instead of everybody has their door locked and nobody even knows, just plugged into their phone or TV and don't even know what's going on in their neighborhood. But instead, we all, work together. So I don't know. That's how I see it. I just, again, what am I here for? I'm here for you, the beautiful people of the world, because I love you out there. And, I just want to always try to, best I can, send some positive vibes and inspiration out there, whatever resonates for you. So please let me know how you think about what the stuff I was talking about. Let me know where you are on your spiritual journey, what you've learned, where, maybe some of the stuff I talked about, you realize like how you've grown, or, let me know, because I'm definitely curious to hear back from people and how they're doing on their journey, right? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, as I always do. Please, if you would, take the time to like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. God bless each and every one of you. I love you individually as well as a group. And until next time, Operation Status Quo, disengaged.
Is a boulevard of 10 short blocks.